verse or chorus, and I'll tell you which is which. Then I'll tell you that this form is called an octastitch. I'm pants at reading music, and I don't have perfect pitch. But when it comes to writing songs, I've got to scratch that itch. When HFO goes live on air, we all expect a glitch. 'Cause every show I do, I know that I will find a hitch. I'm not expecting what I do to ever make me rich. I'm having fun with making music here right now with you on Twitch. Look at that. Very boomy in here with the microphone turned up too much. Good evening to the 52nd HFO Twitch live stream on a Thursday night. I have been doing this for an entire year. Who saw that coming? Good evening to Riako Music. Good evening to Wobby Wobbit, who have both joined me. It has been a whole year, says Riako Music, and indeed it has. So I'm going to indulge myself tonight, and cheers. Yes, much, much better. Nice glass of Malbec really hits the spot. Yellowtail by preference. Rare Emotion says, happy Twitchversity. Twitch, yes, something like that. I had a look at the blog just to check, and it is a year. First one was 16th of May 2020. There I am, look. Back in the days when I was stuck under the bed and didn't have this studio desk, didn't have the keyboard stand. I was using the keyboard stand that I first gigged with, that I bought 40 years ago, back in those days, and I had just taken delivery of my Mackie mixer. That's how long ago it is. What a change in here since then. Riako Music says, I've had that wine. It was one of the few that I could buy in Seoul. Yeah, it's well, I guess Yellowtail is a picture of a socking great kangaroo on the front, so it's probably a safe bet to say it's Australian, but yeah, it's rather nice. So yeah, 52 weeks of doing this, 52 weeks of using OBS Studio. You'd have thought that I knew how to use it properly by now, wouldn't you? Remember a couple of times in the chat I've said when I run the opening credits or the closing credits or any media that I can't hear anything. And yeah, guess what? I figured out what the problem is. It's only taken me 52 weeks. What it is that ASIO interfaces, when they operate in Windows, have something called an exclusive mode, which means that basically they say, no, the audio interface is mine and mine alone, and you are not having any of it. And Windows being Windows, it doesn't entirely work properly. In other words, because this is the scenario that was happening to me, if you start one program that says, I'm going to take exclusive mode of this, while another program which does not believe in exclusive mode is going, no, I'm just going to sit here and use the audio interface, then the program with the exclusive mode goes, oh, all right then. So you get both programs working, even though one, I'm looking at you, Ableton Live, thinks that it's taken over the sound card in exclusive mode. And that was the problem. If I ran Ableton before I ran OBS in the studio, then Ableton does its thing with exclusive mode and goes, right, it's mine now. But if I ran OBS first and then ran Ableton, Ableton tries to do its exclusive mode thing, and OBS goes, jog on, son. I'm carrying on. So this is what has been happening in my stream. So I can now start OBS or Ableton Live in whichever order I like. I'm off the chain this evening, and both systems will work. And how you do it? You disable exclusive mode for ASIO interfaces, and Ableton actually goes, yeah, it doesn't always work. So you might want to do this. And you go into your sound devices properties page, click on advanced there, and you uncheck the box that says allow applications to take exclusive control of device. It's only taken me a year to figure that out, and I've looked at that screen and go, I wonder if I should have that enabled or not. And this afternoon, in fact, this evening, I sat down and he goes, you know what? I reckon that could be the problem. And lo and behold, it was. Because I have got monitoring through OBS and I have Ableton. So there you go. And to prove that Ableton works, let's have a piece of music, shall we? So this is Chasing Latency, and I'll talk about the inspiration behind this in a moment. But this is brand new, off the presses, mix number 15. So enjoy. It's not doing anything, is it? Why is it not doing anything? Hello, Ableton. Are you talking to me, or are you just sulking because I've disabled your exclusive mode?
I'm told the limit is not the sky. I'm deep down in it, but I can't say why. To my dismay, though I've gone to town, when I make my play, the flag is down. Sick and tired of
So there you go. That's chasing latency, because that's kind of what I've been doing. Atitlan said that has got some power to it. Really like the main riff. It's a combination. You see, chasing latency, I've frozen all the synth tracks. All right, and a couple of processing tracks on the vocals and the drums and the bass, because my machine was crashing like a bastard for most of the earlier part of this week. And as mentioned, I sent off a 17 megabyte system information dump to Native Instruments because they were going, "What are you playing at?" And it's like, behold my setup. So we'll see what they say. But yeah, there's not a lot of tracks. It's not a lot of synths. All right, there's 7, but 7 synth tracks. I was watching Paul Thompson introducing the new Wondrous Flutes plugin, the addition to the Spitfire Audio's Abbey Road 1 orchestral foundations. Yeah, they've launched flutes today, or flutes and piccolos, but they're calling it Wondrous Flutes. And Paul was demonstrating the new version of the plugin in Pro Tools, and he had about 200 MIDI tracks. And it's like, well, if you can manage 200 MIDI tracks in Pro Tools, why can't I manage 7 in Ableton? So, and let's face it, freezing tracks, in other words, stopping anything changing so that it effectively renders them all out as audio, which is easier to process than all the jiggery-pokery in the MIDI synth drivers and yada, 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 really cramps my style, as you will see in the next piece of music that I will be playing you. But, yeah, the synth riff is this one. And it is it going to let me do that? No, of course it's not going to do that, because it's frozen. So, does my complete audio even... oh, yes, my complete audio tells me what the track is. It's Absinthe. So it's a Native Instruments plugin. And, yeah, it's quite shouty, and because it's frozen, it's not going to play anything for me, is it? It's just going to sit there and... yeah, so, and you see, this is why freezing tracks bad. You know, they cramp my style doing my shows as well as anything else. Plot twist, they never reply, says Ryako Music. And well, I did get an email saying, yeah, we need more information before we give you your money back, and you send us your lame duck of an audio interface back to us so we can foist it off on somebody else. And yeah, still waiting. We'll see. So yeah, Absinthe is the main synth track for that, and it's fairly grunty. Actually, can I solo a track? I can solo a track. So I can play you the soloed Absinthe track, which sounds like this. So, yeah, it is fairly grunty, and it's been fed through Isotope's Trash 2 plugin, the VST version, not the VST3 version, as we learned on last week's show. The VST3 version doesn't work properly if you try doing automation, so I've stopped using it. I've gone back to the VST2. They're going to put you off until the warranty runs out, says Ryako Music. Yeah. It is what it is. I have already ordered my replacement audio interface, so I'm going to buy a Mark of the Unicorn M4, which is USB-C. It's got a much more up-to-date DAC in it, which is why I'm still waiting for it, because there was a fire in the factory in Japan where they make the aforementioned DAC chips. But next month, then hopefully some of this trials and tribulations will have been alleviated, shall we say. But yeah, the synth track, I ended up also playing the same riff on guitar, because guitar. And it's a good riff, says Ryako Music. Thank you very much. The reason why that sounds as monstrous as it does is because that's the Parker Fly going both into my Zoom G6 multi-effects unit, which then outputs one stereo pair. So that's 2 channels of audio. It is also talking to my GR55 guitar synthesizer, which outputs another stereo pair. And thank goodness I have a large 22-channel mixer, because it's also getting a 7th audio track from the COSM modeler that's built into the GR55 guitar synth. So there are 3 outputs from the guitar synth and 2 from the Zoom G6. And the resulting sound is quite significantly immense. The keyboard solo in the middle, not keyboard, guitar. It's a rather splendid patch. There are some on the Zoom G6, which I rather like. This one. And of course, it's tailing away because it's got supermassive Valhalla DSP's free, rather splendid modulation reverb echo machine dropped onto a Zen track. And yeah, I was rather pleased with that one. So it's all about me basically talking through trying to reduce the amount of time that it takes when I push a key on the keyboard and a note comes out of Ableton, which, when I've got a lot of things going on, tends to slow it down. And that little section up there at the top of the Ableton window is I can't cope window indicator. And it lights up with either CPU when I'm pushing my processor too hard, or disk when I'm trying to get too much audio off the disk. And I've been faffing around with Windows 10's page file allocation, and I thought I'd be clever and follow the guidelines that Tom's Hardware and all the rest of the sites say. You said you should have your page file set to be a minimum of 1.5 times the amount of RAM that you've got in your system. The thing is, this thing's got 64 gigs of RAM in it, and it just wasn't really using the page file regardless of what the size of the page file was set to. But you learn things. Some things you learn a little faster than 52 weeks, but others take a while to sink in. But Ryako Music says the resulting sound is a bit aggressive and I like it. I tried as well to be a bit more aggressive on the vocals, and that kind of didn't work. So this is like about the third or fourth iteration of how I went about singing the vocals, and yeah, they're not great because physically I'm a bit below par at the moment. So I could do better if I was healthier, basically. But I found this sort of not quite whispered, more a sort of seething exasperation type voice that I use for the pre-chorus. And I thought the pre-chorus is actually the strongest part of the vocals. And they're massively widespread. So there's 40 left, centre, 40 right for 3 vocal tracks. And I think it does the business.
Black is down, sick and tired of what it means to have rewired the whole machine.
So I kind of like the vocal on that. And the standard vocal processing chain, so RX7 mouth noise remover, OTT, which is a free, very over-the-top compressor to squish everything before it goes into Nectar 3, which is not doing pitch correction because I kind of don't really bother with pitch correction because with my voice, it's not really going to save matters. Noise gate, one stage of equalization with a fairly significant high pass and low pass filter on it. De-esser, another even more aggressive high pass filter. A compressor which is fairly maxed out, and then a teeny bit of reverb. That goes into the Waves Chris Lord Alge Epic vocal processor, which is basically a reverb and an echo working at the same time, and then into the SSL channel strip. And I found this, it's a preset by Sean Sullivan called Lead Vox, and it kind of seemed to lift the vocals. It takes a lot of the lower end out, even more than I'd done with the high pass filter. But yeah, I'll take that as a win. I had to iterate the mix several times because much as I love my 3-part harmony guitar solos, they were getting a bit in the way. I love Nectar's de-esser, says Ryako Music. It's brilliant. I think the whole of the Nectar processing chain is just so good. If you're doing vocals and you haven't tried out, because I think you can get like a 10 or a 30-day free trial of it. Nectar 3, vocal processing, and it uses machine learning. It has listened to thousands of pieces of vocal music and knows how to make a vocal track bed into the rest of the music, and it does its job very nicely, I have to say. So that was Chasing Latency. So that was like Monday. Well, Monday was a bit of a no music day because I've been editing all of these shows to put them on YouTube for the past year, and I will edit tonight's show and put that up on YouTube, and I put little images and explanations. So for instance, from Sunday's show, if you watch the archive of that on YouTube, I actually dug out my copy of Neil Young's album Trans and the Live in Berlin DVD, took photographs of them and put them in the video stream, and there are various snide comments in the captioning and subtitles as well. So if you've not watched my shows on YouTube, I have been putting in a lot of effort to make them as enjoyable as I could, and they've come on a long way, it has to be said, since that shambolic looking figure there with his pride and joy in a room that looks a complete tip. And it was a complete tip. And yeah, I don't even know if I edited much in the way of that. I think I just sort of went and put it on YouTube, and that was it. But in days of yore, that might have been acceptable. But I've been doing so much in the way of cutting things down. Some of the shows ended up being 20-25 minutes shorter than they were when they went out on Twitch, because I do go on a bit. But I have been thinking about this, and quite frankly, spending an entire day every time I've done one of these streams going through the process of editing it, uploading it to YouTube, waiting for YouTube to decide whether or not I'm actually Serge Gainsbourg in disguise, and then deigning to let me actually post my thing without other people being allowed to monetize it. I'm basically done with YouTube, regardless of whether I get my appeal allowed or not for show number 50. I am not going to be adding these shows to YouTube as of Sunday night. And quite frankly, you guys come over here and hang out on Twitch, and Twitch is where it's at, baby. So let's not dilute the brand by going, well, you can watch it on YouTube instead. No, that's the point. You will be able to watch me exclusively nowhere else but on Twitch, because I like Twitch. I've enjoyed being on Twitch. Array Emotion says, yeah, good call. YouTube isn't worth it for small content creators. You have to have like 1,000 followers now before they let you monetize stuff, which is stellar levels of BS, quite frankly, because it used to be 100 subscribers, and I was getting close to that, and I was thinking, yay! And then suddenly all that sort of incentive for doing stuff with YouTube just went away. And YouTube, I'm done. So here we are on Twitch. Let's not bother with them, shall we? Unless you're a woodworker for some reason, says Array of Emotions. Okay, right. It's so competitive, says Ryakim. It really is, and apart from anything else, music shouldn't be a competition, should it? Really, it's not something that you do in order to beat other people doing the same thing. That's kind of not how music works. Music's supposed to be about making life better, making people feel good. And quite frankly, we need all of that we can get at the moment. Some of us more than others, I have to say. But, yeah, let's not go there. And breathe. So, yeah, tonight's show, I will, after the show's finished, I'll go and edit it. I'll set it to upload to YouTube overnight, so it'll be embedded in the blog tomorrow when I finally get round to writing the blog. And at that point, that will be the last time I embed one of these shows in the blog, which will be different. And it's all part of a sort of revision to, or a change to my game plan. Apart from anything else, I want the Twitch thing is where I want to really focus on. So everything else is kind of being a bit of a distraction. And I want to stream more often on Twitch. And if I do that, I can't be sitting down the day after editing the show onto YouTube so that people on YouTube can watch it as well as people on Twitch. Because, again, it's diluting the brand, it's diluting the audience and whatever else. And apart from anything else, as has already been intimated, yeah, I'm not a fan of YouTube anymore. So what I'm going to do after tonight's show is I am going to take a break for 2 weeks because I am quite frankly toast at the moment. And I wrote a blog post a couple of days ago and I used the blog more or less as a sounding board for my own inner state of writing it down and basically seeing what my inner state says, oh, you should write about this. And I hadn't really sat down and looked at things from different perspectives. Basically, since this chappie arrived, I have been more or less pushing myself to make music in here on a daily basis. And I don't just mean 9 to 5, Monday to Friday. I mean on a daily basis. I haven't really stopped since Rocktober. In fact, really, I haven't really stopped since 5090 started, and that was July the 4th last year. And I really haven't stopped before doing these live streams started, and that was May last year. And when I wrote the blog, I suddenly found myself typing, if this was a job, I'd have quit, because no job would expect you to work 7 days a week for 52 weeks a year without time off for good behaviour. And quite frankly, yeah, I need time off. Ryaka Music says good. And yeah, Mel and I have discussed this, and just the fact that I need to just take a little bit of time and do some R&R and veg out and just recover a bit of whatever health that I have left that I've been suffering. So it's time to take a break. So I will not be doing a show this Sunday. I will not do a show next Thursday. I will likewise not be doing anything for the Sunday and the Thursday the week after that, but I will be back after that. So what have I got to leave you with in the 2-3 weeks or whatever that I'm not going to be around? Well, kind of got a bit carried away. So I did Chasing Latency, which is a fairly average length song for me. It's like 3 minutes for just under 4 minutes, I think. And I thought, you know what, I need to be a bit more self-indulgent. And so I fired up my ambient template, which doesn't have drums on it, and just started noodling. And as you can see by the number of synthesizer tracks on there, and there are 13 of them, I might have got a little bit carried away. And I added guitar and then added quite a lot of more guitar. But the initial draft of this track was called Drowning Out, because it was all about how the music and the sounds that you want to listen to get drowned out by the tumult of noise, none of it pleasant, that we are inundated with every time we turn on the radio or the television or our streaming services or anything else. And I listen to it on headphones, as I do. I'll do a mix and I'll listen to it on headphones so that I'm away from here and I've given my ears a rest, so I'm listening to it with fresh ears. And I just lie in bed with the headphones on and listen to the first version of this, which I did 2 days ago, and thought, you know what? I could quite easily double the length of this and that wouldn't actually be me running out of ideas. I'd just keep going. So the original version of this was 7 minutes long. And as you can maybe see, if I remove me, and I don't know how good your eyesight is, but that little figure there is 14 minutes. And yeah, it's quite a bit over 14 minutes. It's nearly 15 minutes. So I renamed it, and in a sort of nod to the type of music, and you'll understand the reference when I. All right, I'm a huge Mike Oldfield fan. He is probably the biggest, certainly the first and foremost influence in all of my musical adventures. So this track is me unashamedly channeling my inner Mike Oldfield. And so for that reason, I ended up just renaming this track, and it's now just called Side 2. And if you'll indulge me for 14 and a half minutes or so, Side 2. And there you go. That's nearly 15 minutes of side 2. So, of course, now I've got to write side 1, haven't I? Leave it if it's meant to be hypnotic, says Ryako Music. Yeah, very, very much. Or sort of almost trance-like, that end meditative riff of first the main bass guitar. It's not actually the bass. It is a bass. It is just one of my. In fact, I think it's the Parker Fly. This one. So I just drop in a very, very simple. It doesn't even change key like the rest of the riffs do. And it basically does that for 3 minutes, and then the other guitar tracks just are various harmonies of a single lead line. So it's and so that's it. And once again, found myself just sitting down and instinctively knowing, oh, well, if I played that, then that's going to be that, and then that's going to be that, and then that's going to be that, and that's going to be that, and that's going to be that. And it all just worked because I've listened to a lot of pieces of music that have that kind of vibe to it, and I've made lots of pieces of music that have that kind of vibe to it. But as I said in the chat, I had to freeze all of the synth tracks, because if I didn't, even if I just left 2, like the CS80 and the pigments at the bottom, then my Complete Audio 6 Mark II audio interface would just go zzz. It really, really, really did not like 13 tracks of synthesizer, and that's not a lot of synth, really, is it? You know, this Paul Thompson Spitfire Audio, he was using like 200 tracks for VST plugins, then 14 seems a bit paltry for that to be falling over, he said, gesturing at something that you can't actually see. Or However Motion says, was feeding kitties, but yeah, that track was pretty cool. Glad you liked it. You can always stick with a really thin riser, says Ryako Music. Yeah, I was kind of thinking about adding loads of audio tracks and putting special effects and sound effects on it, but yeah, I think 32 tracks is probably enough for the moment, because that's pretty much all that could fit on my the old school way of doing things. But yeah, I was quite pleased with that. I think there are a few bits. So that's the first time I've sat down and listened to it on the monitors, and I have yet to listen to this on headphones. So I will probably end up changing it. What I have found listening to it this evening is that I really noticed just how harsh the Zoom G6 is when it's going into the Complete Audio 6, and I'm sure my guitar sound wasn't that fizzy back in the days when I used a Focusrite Scarlett 2i2. There's a harshness to that sound that I thought I'd got rid of, but clearly not. So I'm not 100% happy, and probably probably not 90%. It's probably somewhere 80 to 90% happy with that track. So when I come back in 2 weeks, I may inflict it upon you again in a completely different shape. Or I may, excuse me. See, I'm knackered. I may just leave it as it is, but we shall see. But yeah, it's quite interesting how, although I'm ostensibly taking part in the 50/90, the prequel songwriting challenge, which is you write 50 songs in the 90 days between April the 4th and July the 3rd, to warm yourself up for doing the 50/90 songwriting challenge, which is to write 50 songs in the 90 days between July the 4th and October the 1st. And maybe it's more about my sense of precarious health, or just generally wanting to explore an individual piece more than the February album writing month attitude, which is you form it, in other words, you record a version of it. Doesn't matter if it's got rough edges, doesn't matter if there's bum notes. It's like, right, that is the idea for the song, right, move it on to the next one. Because the whole point of doing these challenges is to stop you being precious about the production and the mix and the recording and the performance and everything else. And I've become contrary and have actually said, you know what, I've spent the last 10, 15 years doing these songs, which is why my songwriting tally's closing in on like 900 songs at the moment. I think some of these songs really need a little bit more time spending on them. And exploring that fact of going, no, that's not ready yet, of literally holding on to a song and going, I'm gonna just think about this and I'm coming back to it tomorrow, and I might do something completely different with it tomorrow. Hence side 2. And quite frankly, I think my songwriting chops have improved more through doing that than they have doing 50/90 last year, because I listened to the piece of music, the album that I released on Bandcamp, the day before Bandcamp Friday, on Bandcamp Thursday last week, which I called A Decent Harvest, because I think the music on that album is pretty decent stuff. There are quite a few tracks on that album that I surprised myself, certainly in terms of vocal performances, of actually getting my vocals to sit properly in the mix and then doing harmonies. And I am not a harmony singer, as you may have noticed in Chasing Latency back there, but I'm bloody well going to have a go at it, and I will get better at it, and that is how you get better, is by doing. So that is on the list of things to approach once I've had my rest. Ugh. Because, he said, yawning his head off, I am absolutely toast. But Array of Emotion says, you've got to iterate. Indeed. And quite a few of the tracks, well, I mean, this track now has 2 completely different files of Ableton Live sets in the live folder for it, because it's, I held on to the original version because it's like, might need a cut down version of it, but iteration, it pays off, I think, quite frankly, in terms of what I end up putting on the Bandcamp page that I have is better. as a result. Bobby says, same. I've been up since 4 a.m. and had a mentally and emotionally demanding full-on day. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, mate. Reactor Music says, you need to go to bed and stay there for like 12 hours. Yeah, that's like, I'm not even halfway through that class and it's knocked me out completely. Reactor Music says, you need to go to bed and stay there for like 12 hours. And what I was going to say was, part of my problem is that I've been doing that too much recently. And I have actually been forcing myself to get out of bed early, or earlier than, it was 11 o'clock on Monday, because I was toast on Monday. But Reactor Music says, wow, you got up early to Wobby. Wobby says, yeah, I don't sleep well. I think we all need a good night's sleep more often than we get one. Reactor Music says, I don't get a good night's sleep either. I really thought, having retired, as it were, or certainly not having a job anymore, that I would feel rested because I can get up when I want to get up in the mornings, quite frankly, and have been doing so for, how long is it since I got sick? 18 months? Nearly 2 years. It'll be 2 years in August since I got sick. And, where are the benefits? I am asking myself, where is the, bursts of creative energy and kicking lethargy into touch? It's not happening. But hopefully I will be fighting fit once I've had my second vaccination and the NHS gets through its backlog and eventually gets to me and I can get stuff sorted out. Because it's quite uncomfortable at the moment. So one of the things that I will be doing when I've had my second shot is to go to the doctors and go, look, this isn't funny anymore. I need this sorting. What can you do to help? So we'll see. And I must apologise, because the reason that it is tipping it down here in the UK and has been all day is that I decided that it was about time that I got my lawnmower fixed, because I've got a very, very old fly mow and you actually have to mow the lawn at an angle because the mains lead that plugs into the socket on the fly mow, it was wonky, and I'd actually reinforced it with gaffer tape, but I found that you had to sort of like hold the mains lead as it goes into the socket on the fly mow at a very, very precise angle. Otherwise the cable, basically, I think it's plastic sealed plug. You can't unscrew it so that you can fix the connections, because Flymo don't do that. So eventually I caved in and ordered a replacement 20-meter Flymo lawnmower cable, which the postman arrived with this morning at about 9:15. So I was up. But of course, now that I am able to mow the lawn again, weather forecast for the UK for the next 4 days is torrential rain. So that's my fault. So I do apologise. But time to drink more and sit on the couch with a blanket. That's kind of my plan. So I will be back, I guess, in 3 weeks' time on whatever. I suppose we really ought to be semi-professional and figure out what day it is, shouldn't we? So let's call up my calendar. So it's the 13th of May today, right? So, perfect timing. I will be back with you on Thursday the 3rd of June. And goodness knows what state I will be in on Thursday, the 3rd of June, because I will just have had my second shot of the Oxford AstraZeneca vaccine for COVID-19. And I sailed through the first shot. Everybody was going, "Oh, you'll really notice it." And nope. And my friend Helen got a splitting headache, but was fine the next day. And I didn't even get that. But quite a few people that I know who have now had the second shot said, yeah, just wait. Because it's the second shot that apparently really boosts your immune system into doing something about COVID. And yeah, like Raka Music says, I heard the second one is brutal. I've heard mixed reports. I've heard some people have just been laid out for like 2-3 days, and other people, like I did for the first one, have sailed through it. But on the whole, people are saying that the second dose is a little bit more severe than the first. Wobby says, I had a day or so of flu-y symptoms on the second one. Yeah, which... Reformation says, I think my dad is getting the second one soon. Oh, that's good. That's good. So, yes, I could be in any sort of shape on June the 3rd, but I will do my best to be back with you right here in the studio with all me posh lights and everything else. And one thing, it might be dark enough. We'll just do one sign off with let's see if this works.
It's Ghost Watch time.
Ghost Watch time. Says around. Yeah, indeed. So that is a bit bizarre, isn't it? So you get the paranormal version of the show, but yeah, that is quite disturbing. Clever camera though, in it. So yes, quite. Why I decided to do that then, I have no idea. But probably because by the time I come back in 3 weeks' time, it will still be broad daylight out here by the time I finish. So it's kind of like my last opportunity to do this before the winter. Thank you for your company this evening. Thank you for your support and your comments and your lovely chat and your following for the last 52 weeks, a whole year of these streams. I will very much look forward to my time off. And as a Reformation says, enjoy your time off. I will. So I will sign off. I know I've been saying this for at least the last 10 minutes, but have a lovely break, says Wobby123. Thank you. Yes, I will. So in the interim, whatever you're doing, please continue to obey social distancing rules, even if Boris thinks that he can dispense with them sometime in the next week or two. Please continue to wear a mask, because the virus is airborne and masks stop the transmission of it. And whatever you're doing, stay well, stay sane, stay safe, stay Wayne, and I will see you on June the 3rd. Take care.